Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're listening from. It's amazing to see the different countries that listening to Dreamcatcher Radio, and thank you very, very much. I want to talk about something. I wrote this on the plane. I was in Crete recently, only there for a couple of days, but they were a long couple of days to discuss some ideas, and had a fantastic time. I must admit, my liver took a load of abuse, and I'm grateful to come back. But Crete was an amazing place, fantastic people, and very, very peaceful place. I know it's the start of their season over there, but managed to try some wonderful food and met some wonderful people. I want to talk about this, about the justice system. I wrote this on the plane on the way back. And some of this, I think I've kind of talked about before, but this is slightly different, I assure you. Now, in the UK, we are told that the courts are where the truth is tested, where evidence is weighed, and where the powerful and the powerless stand equal before the law. We know we've got a two-tier justice system here in the UK. I've just added that actually, because that wasn't in there. We definitely do know that, but that promise only holds if the system itself is accountable. And this is the bit I want to talk about. And today, we've got to confront the truth. There is a serious lack of accountability within our criminal courts, particularly when it comes to judges and the Crown Prosecution Service. And some would say defence, barristers, KCs, and the like. When mistakes happen in the justice system, the consequences are not small. They are not theatrical. They are not academic. They fall on real people, real families, real lives, and yet, when those mistakes occurred or occur, the standard response is you can appeal. And I heard it time and time again. As if an appeal was going to be a magic eraser, as if the emotional, financial, and reputational damage simply disappears because a higher court later says, yes, something went wrong should you succeed in your appeal. This is one of my grievances, which I'll go on to explain here. But here's a question we've got to ask ourselves, and it's a question the system rarely answers. And this is my point. And this is why I wrote this. If an appeal succeeds, what is actually learned from that? From the lower courts and also in the upper court? What changes? What improves? What consequences follow for those who made the error in the first place? Maybe the judge, the CPS, or even it could be a jury got it wrong. But the jury are fed a narrative, and if you are inclined, go listen back to an episode I talked about the narrative. And I believe too often the answer is nothing. Nothing happens. There is no consequences. There's nothing learned, nothing gained. The crazy situation we live in society is someone could be charged with the same offence, say in Middlesbrough, and the same offence in London. The chances are, for the same charge, same circumstances, if you could actually arrange that to be done, one of them will not get a conviction, one would. And there's multiple reasons there. I'm not going to say it here, but just open your mind a little bit. But the system remains untouched. The judges who misapplied the law continues as before. The prosecutors who withheld evidence or failed in their duties, no meaningful review is ever done. The courts just allow unfairness to creep into the trial, simply moves on to the next case. And trust me, that's exactly what happens. And so, for obvious reasons, the cycle just repeats. We cannot pretend that appeals alone are the form of accountability. Appeals create outcome, sometimes, but they do not correct behaviour. They do not address patterns. They do not prevent the same errors from happening again to somebody else. Accountability to me means learning, it means reflection, it means consequences, it means transparency. And right now, our system has too little of all four. Judges hold enormous power. Their decisions shape lives, futures, and freedoms. Yet the mechanism for following judicial conduct are slow, opaque even, and rarely used. The public is told to trust the process, but trust cannot survive without visibility. When a judge's decision is overturned on appeal, the public deserves to know: was the error acknowledged? Was guidance issued? And was training updated? And this is the clanger: was anything done at all? The same is true as the Crown's prosecution service. Prosecutors are not simply advocates, they are the ministers of justice. Their duty is not to win, but to ensure fairness. When disclosure failures occur, when evidence is not shared, when material that could assist the defence is overlooked or withheld, the consequences can be devastating. Yet, how often do we see meaningful accountability for these failures? How often do we see systemic, I should say, change rather than individual blame quietly brushed aside? If appeals are the only safety net, then the net is full of holes. Appeals come too late. They come after the damage is done. They come after trust has been broken. And they come at a cost. A cost borne not by the system, but the people the system is supposed to protect. So let's ask ourselves, what must change? We need a culture where errors are not hidden but explained, where overturned convictions trigger automatic reviews, and what went wrong and why, where judges and prosecutors are not shielded from scrutiny, but supported in improving their practice, where transparency is not feared but embraced, and where the justice system remembers that accountability is not an attack, it's a safeguard. Because accountability is not about blame, it's about learning, it's about preventing injustice, not merely correcting it after the fact. It's about ensuring that every person walks into a courtroom, may it be a victim, a witness, defendant, or juror, can trust that the practice is fair, honest, and worthy of power it holds. I'm a strong believer that defendants walking to court and they have to prove their innocence. It's not the other way around. They have to prove their innocence. They're not assumed innocent. I do believe that presumption doesn't exist pretty much in any court. It's just words, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Have a great morning, evening, day, week, year. Catch you soon.